Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining what I call happy hour for our project. I'm Christine Davis, the Vice Chair of Urban Confluence Silicon Valley, and as a longtime resident and business owner of downtown San Jose, I'm really excited to have this great honor and to serve my community on this historic project. Tonight is our fourth of at least 7 community meetings that we'll be having since the finalists presented their very impressive, I might say, and refined designs to the jury on January the 30th. I hope you've all had time to watch those. They're quite inspiring presentations, actually, with a lot of detail. They certainly give us all a much broader vision of this transformational project that is to be purposely inclusive and provide connectivity for all. I want to say that from the inception, like tonight's meeting, these community meetings have been one of our most important outreach efforts in making this a successful project. Our goal tonight is to give great information and to do it in a very efficient manner, being respectful of your time. We really appreciate you being on. I want to give you some of our protocols. We are recording this meeting. We will not be using the chat function for your questions. Please use the Q&A function that will be used for all your questions that you can put in to that at any time during the meeting. Now I'd like to start by introducing 2 very important relationships to us at Urban Confluence that have been involved since the inception of the project as well, and ask them to briefly speak to us. One is Nicole Burnham. Bless her heart, she has just been wonderful. She's the Deputy Director of City of San Jose Parks and Recreation and Neighborhood Services. And then, I haven't seen her on yet, but I believe she's supposed to be. Directly following Nicole will be Jody Starbird. Jody is the past president of Guadalupe River Park Conservancy and also serves as one of our jurors. And if Nicole is not on yet, then we'll have Jody go right ahead.
No, I made it, Christine. I'm sorry. I was a minute late. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thank you. And I do apologize that I jumped in a little late, but thanks everybody. I am, as Christine said, I'm Nicole Burnham. I'm a Deputy Director with the City of San Jose Department of Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services. So my team oversees construction of all park assets across the city, all 209 parks and our regional parks, as well as our trail amenities. I've been working with the Urban Confluence team since 2017 when they first came to the city and said they wanted to give the city this gift in a city park. And so it has been a journey since then. We've been figuring this out together. It's definitely a unique project and a one-of-a-kind project. The team did a lot of work to identify Arena Green as the preferred location. And since I've been able to work with them, since that site was selected, I've been working with them regularly to evaluate options and understand how this is going to fit into the context of the park system. So it's a pleasure to be here to support the project. And I'm going to turn it over to Jody Starbird, who Christine so nicely introduced as well.
Thanks, Nicole. That's right, I'm Jody Starbird. I'm the past president of the Guadalupe River Park Conservancy, and we're the city's nonprofit partner in the development and activation of the Guadalupe River Park and Gardens. And Arena Green, the park that is the proposed location for the Urban Confluence project, is within our sphere of influence of downtown parks. So we have been involved in the process as a vibrant stakeholder since at least the city has been. And we've been going along with the project and following it and being active participants in it and in its development. And I can't tell everyone how important we feel the public engagement component of the project is. It's very important that we hear from the community, that we hear what your input is, what your comments are, and we really look forward to hearing about that. And I can tell you as a jurist, that the jury also is very interested in what the people and the citizens of San Jose and in fact the entire region feel about the project. So thank you tonight for being part of this process, and let's kick it off and see what we have.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Nicole. Before we kick it off and I turn it over to the information, I'd like to also acknowledge John Ball. He is one of the founding board members of the San Jose Light Tower Corporation, which is now Urban Confluence Silicon Valley. He is the board chair of Urban Confluence, and he's also a juror. Now, he's not on the call tonight mainly because he is a juror, but I want everyone to acknowledge his extraordinary efforts in this. He's a total volunteer to the project, but he and his wife, Paula, continue to lead by examples in so many different areas of the project, and we just couldn't do it without their leadership. And now I'd like to turn the program over to Steve Borgenhagen, who is our executive director and also a founding board member of the San Jose Light Tower. But I like to call Steve, I give him a nickname, he smiles, he's smiling right now, as a walking encyclopedia of the project. And once you see and hear the different areas that Steve leads in this project, you'll know why I call him that. So, Mr. Encyclopedia, Steve, take it away.
Thank you, Christine. I want to start out by thanking Christine Davis and John Ball, best board members anybody could have. They work tirelessly and they donate lots of money and do whatever it takes to get this unique project done. So Christine, thank you, and John, as always. Also, Jody and Nicole, representing the Conservancy and the city, the Parks Department, are really fabulous partners. We lean on them a lot for guidance. What I'll say is we have lots of challenges all the time, and we will continue to have difficult challenges all the way until we break that bottle of champagne in a few years. And their attitudes are always excellent, and we are always, all of us are respectful and collegial with one another. And so I know Jody, you're still there. Thank you, and thank Nicole, and really all of our partners at the city, including the council, the mayor, and many other city staff, including the city manager. So thanks to all of you for working tirelessly with us to do something that's difficult. You know, nothing that matters is easy, and our project is no exception to that. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to build this artistically inspired icon that's really a landmark for our city. Sometimes we talk about it as potentially the logo of Silicon Valley. If you look at the reason why we started this, when John and I and Tom Woolman started this a few years ago, it was really about lacking a physical icon, a thing that represents us in our community, makes our hearts race, and also leads to great economic development. And so we all felt that same gap in our community, and we got together. And then shortly thereafter, Christine joined us, and she and I and John have been leading the charge since. We want to build something world class. We're not looking at some little sculpture or some minor work of art. We're looking at something really major that will stand up on this world scale. So COVID's a very difficult time. None of us have ever experienced anything like this. In fact, really the world hasn't, probably since 1918. And I think public spaces do matter now more than ever. We're all desperate to get back together, and at some point this COVID period's going to end. We're all going to have all this pent-up demand to get outside, and we think that beautiful public spaces are going to matter more than ever once that happens, and that having this place in this beautiful park in downtown San Jose will be really an important place of, as Christine wrote here, hope, healing, and human connection, and that it'll be a must-see. We really believe we will be building the thing that when visitors come to San Jose, everyone will say, you know, have you been to whatever it's called? And just to talk about the name for a moment, once the winner is selected, we believe the name will be associated with the winning design. It won't be called Urban Confluence or the San Jose Light Tower or anything else. Also on here, you know, what does come after wealth? You know, if you look at our lives, we spend a lot of time trying to become financially secure, but it's really gifts to our children and grandchildren and civic transformation that we all benefit from at the end of the day. If you think about some of the things that cause us the greatest joy in life, and I'm thinking now about museums, sculptures, public plazas, roads, and things that are fabulous around the world, and landmarks like we're trying to build. These are gifts that we've received from sometimes from wealthy people in the past, sometimes from communities in the past, sometimes from artists in the past. We want to be part of that fine tradition of giving things to one another and to people in the future. I'm not going to review all the design evaluation criteria, but suffice it to say that the jury has specific criteria that they're studying. These have been very consistent all along. And when the jury does meet on March 6th to rank the 3 finalists, they will be using these evaluation criteria. We spent about a year identifying the site. We had a third party, which was Steinberg Hart, do a very detailed site selection study. Clearly Arena Green rose above all of the other sites. All of them were downtown, but Arena Green was the largest, and we really believe the best. Having the river and the creek flow through it gives it a unique advantage. And it's really a multifaceted piece of property that you can see it in the image. It's about 14.5 acres. Of those, only about 5 acres are actually buildable. And as it turns out, all 3 of the finalist locations are on the left side of the screen as you're looking at it, which would be the top left would be the northwest corner of the park. And that's where this landmark will be located, just across the street from SAP Center. Without our donors, we literally would have nothing. And so I just want to publicly thank all of them, whether they're the large donors that you see listed here or small donors. We've got about 400 of them. We expect to have many thousands by the time we're done. So to all of you who are donors, thank you. And if you're not donors yet, jump on board. Whatever amount you can donate, we deeply appreciate. And we get donations from both friends and strangers all the time, and we appreciate all of them. As we talked a little bit about before, partner organizations are imperative. We would not have a project. A reminder: the city owns the park. The city will always own the park. It is a public park. So we're doing something that's a bit unusual, which is having an immense project that we are going to fund, and we're going to give it as a gift to the city. So of course we have to work with the city literally on a daily basis. And that's not just with Nicole or people at the Conservancy, including Jody and their executive director, Jason Sue, who's another excellent partner, but the mayor and council clearly, and lots of city staff in various departments. Also, we've formed a stakeholders group that we meet with every month that includes Little Italy, Spur, the Sharks, Valley Water, the Knight Foundation, and others. And they've all been really great partners, because it's, as our friend Chris Thompson at the Knight Foundation suggested when he came up with the idea of having this stakeholders meeting, or this stakeholders group, is that it's important that all of the groups who care about the park are pulling the rope in the same direction. So that's what we've tried to do with these stakeholder meetings, is work among ourselves to make sure that we all are supporting the same ideas. And there's a lot of unanimity about the vision for the park. Lots of details still need to be worked out, and we're primarily working out this large landmark, but the activation of the site in general will be happening shortly. Also, I want to thank our community competition panel, which was 33 local leaders who spent 20 to 40 hours together recommending 47 designs to the jury. And also we have an emerging leaders and advisory council groups that's over 100 people who have spent many hours advising us about lots of critical items as we've progressed over the last 4 years. We have a first-rate jury of people from around the United States and also from the Netherlands. They include about approximately half local, half non-local, approximately 70% from the Bay Area. So the local area is very much represented properly. And these are first-rate people in their fields, whether it's architecture, landscape design, public placemaking, environmental concerns, or anything else. So I would like to thank them publicly too. They've been really a joy to work with. And their work will end on March 6th when they rank the 3 finalists. The competition lasted about a year. We ended up extending the deadline multiple times because of COVID. And we were really well served by doing that. We finally ended up with 963 submissions. We actually had over 1,000, but 963 were qualified from 72 countries on 6 continents. We like to joke, where are you, Antarctica? If I had known that was going to happen, I would have called someone in Antarctica and asked them to submit so that we had all the continents represented. The 3 finalists are were born in Japan, China, and Spain. So we truly are an international competition. This middle bullet point is really an important one, that the submissions were all anonymous. The jury members did not know the identity of any of the submitters until after they actually chose the 3 finalists. We did that very intentionally. We didn't want there to be an advantage to experienced designers. We wanted everyone to have a chance. We were somewhat inspired by the story of Maya Lin and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, where this young college student won this prestigious award and built this really magnificent project. If you haven't been to the Vietnam Memorial, I highly recommend it. Very powerful, very moving. We're hoping to have a similar project. And just a reminder that public spaces are at the heart of great communities. You can live in a nice house and live in a nice city like we all do, but our public spaces need work, and we're trying to create a sparkly gem right in the heart of our downtown. So our timeline has been going on. We've really been working for about 4 years, but phase 1 was in 2019 and 20. We are in phase 2 now, which will end when the city council votes on the rankings of the 3 finalists. Then we'll go into phase 3, which is basically design development. Phase 4 will be permits, partnerships, and such. And also a very, very large capital campaign that we're in the early phases of planning now. Then we'll be in construction, and then finally we'll have this groundbreaking and lots of smiles. And then we'll be in the operations and maintenance phase, which I'll talk about in a moment. This project will be the largest gift in the history of our city, and we're really proud to be a part of that, and we're really encouraged by the amazing generosity that we've experienced. And a reminder, the park will always be a park. We are not taking any city land. We're simply going to use it to create a gift and give it to the city, and then the operations and maintenance will be determined ultimately by the city council. We will raise all the money privately. We will not have a negative impact on spending on public services. We're very sensitive about the hungry and the homeless and the disadvantaged. We will not have a negative effect on all that. We know our society has lots of problems. We can't solve them all, but we can be a part of the solution. We also have really benefited from the incredible development, actually unprecedented development in downtown. There will be more money spent in the next 5 to 10 years developing downtown than probably in the previous 50. I think the total number could approach $10 billion by the time it's done. And Google's Downtown West is certainly the largest of those, but the whole Diridon Station development, including a BART station, is a big moment for our city, where we can get on a BART train and be in San Francisco in an hour or so. Conversely, people in San Francisco and all around the Bay can get on a BART train and be here and come and visit Urban Confluence. That means a lot to us. J. Paul has 2 immense developments going. Adobe is building a new tower that's immense and actually is the farthest along of all these projects, and will be very beautiful. The Sharks have lots of plans to improve their area. And we work with all these people, but we are really beneficiaries of all this development happening. I believe that there's going to be a slight shift in the center of our downtown, really to Arena Green, between Google and all these other projects and our project. There's going to be this center of gravity or epicenter that's going to be at Arena Green. We really believe strongly that that's the case. During our first couple of public meetings, we had a lot of questions about the items on screen now, and I want to assure you that we've been talking about these for years, but they'll be really formally addressed during phase 3. So if you have any suggestions, in addition to Q&A, feel free to pick up the phone and call me. I'm really accessible all the time. And as Jody said early on in this meeting, your opinions, your input are critical to our success ultimately. So we'll be dealing with the protection of the riparian corridor, net zero. The project will be a net zero project. Security and safety and ADA compliance will all be very seriously dealt with. We're not going to do anything that's not completely up to codes and very responsible to the citizenry. The project will have elevators and stairs. It'll be, again, ADA compliant, in that we want to be part of the master planning and park activation strategy. We cannot do that alone. We don't own the park, but with the city, the conservancy, the council, and all of the stakeholders, we all have in mind the same thing, which is a complete park with lots of wonderful amenities. And that's what our goal is. We want it to be active indoors and outdoors, daytime and nighttime. You know, the name of our corporation is San Jose Light Tower Corporation. Having a real light show there is an important part of what we really want to do. But again, done responsibly as far as the riparian corridor is concerned. Operations and maintenance plans will be developed. We can't do them yet. We don't even have a winning design, but just be assured that all of our conversations with council, the mayor, and city staff are all very much focused on cleaning and operations and maintenance, even though no one knows how the maintenance and operations will be actually managed ultimately. There is currently a carousel in the park. We don't know what's going to happen to the carousel. There have been discussions about moving it, but we don't know whether that will happen ultimately or not. Excuse me. Just to restate that all of us are daily considering this homeless problem and how we can help it. And we want to be part of that solution, but just a statement that problem is much larger than our organization or even than Arena Green, but we want to work with everyone who's trying to improve that situation. And with that, Mike Hubert, who is our technical master. Mike, thank you as always for supporting us the way that you do. And Mike's going to show you 3 videos of the 3 finalists. And after that, we will get into the Q&A. So Mike, it's all yours.
Welcome to Wonderland is a realization of surreal literature. The experience transports you into a fictional character that challenges your cognitive ability. Silicon Valley has long been known for pushing boundaries in technology.
The Welcome to Wonderland team is incredibly special. Companies that make up our team have experience designing and building complex and iconic structures around the globe.
The multi-scaled flora is packed into a huge figurative imaginary box measuring 100 feet wide by 225 feet long and 200 feet high.
The structural system of Wonderland is a fusion of traditional framing integrated with an organically geometric composition of support for the gigantic flora. The entire biome of Wonderland is anchored to the earth at the central elevator and stair tower through a structural steel braced frame system.
We have analyzed the constructability of the piece and have proved out the elements required to execute this immersive experience.
一口に白って言っても実際はいろいろな白が世の中に存在していて、例えば白の濃淡や明暗の色合いだったり、特に素材本来が持つ色合いや質感、そういったものを再認識した上で慣れ親しんだ日常的なものを非日常的なものとして表現する。
Wonderland pushes the envelope of structural creations. A number of materials will be used to fabricate the various flora. The materials will deliver slightly varied textures, especially in close proximity to the sculpture. Materials used at grade and within patron spaces will have softer edging conditions.
Our team has looked at every aspect of the project, from meeting building codes to stair towers and structural systems. So it is safe and secure. We have explored multiple material finish options and confirmed longevity and maintainability.
We envision Riche as a caretaker of not only the opening day experience for the people of San Jose, but the ongoing experiences of the many generations to come.
The experience is the intertwining between two different worlds. The juxtaposition of artificial nature against real nature allows you to dream or rethink the familiar world in a fantastic new way.
An organic structural frame springs from the traditional framing to emulate the stems, sepals, and styles of the flora. The biomimicry provides for a seamless integration of the structural system with the artistic vision. The three components of the structural system, the braced frame core, the floor and ramp framing, and the organic flora structural support system, are tied together as a unified whole to resist the environmental and seismic forces that Wonderland will need to resist.
Wonderland entices and invites you to explore. Like Alice, you become curiouser and curiouser.
In the novel Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Alice says being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing. As you move deeper inside, the oversized flower imparts a feeling that you are physically growing smaller with every step you take. The flora relates to each other by touching, leaning, and intertwining to produce a multitude of spatial qualities and experiences.
Our project protects the riparian corridor and meets the goal of net zero.
Our approach to net zero starts by sustainable design. We want to get to zero by first looking at conservation and efficiency before reviewing on-site renewables and purchasing renewable energy credits and carbon offsets.
While this project shows its enormity in stillness during the daytime, it transforms its artificial nature into a vibrant, colorful bouquet at night.
Projection brings the biome to life via digital canvas of over 55 million pixels across the east side of the sculpture. Images of creatures, animated textures, and visual effects combined with localized audio will surprise and excite guests.
Projection mapping on the exterior brings the flora to life with dynamic colors and textures.
As the sun sets, Welcome to Wonderland awakens a world of color. The bottom of the sculpture gradually illuminates, reaching upwards until it's entirely engulfed in color.
on the interior, larger than life hologram creatures allows you to experience an enjoyable and yet slightly unsettling environment.
Welcome to Wonderland is poised to become a global icon, and the nighttime lighting experience will not only rival the lighting of icons around the world, but may also inform how they might look in the 21st century and beyond.
Once you've been to Wonderland, you will always remember the sensation of being in a magical world. Returning to your ordinary world will never be the same.
Welcome to Wonderland is a local landmark, but sets the stage to become a worldwide sensation.
When we think about a contemporary landmark, we are envisioning something that connects the future and the past, something that recalls our emotion of the places and represents the identity of the city. A nebula is a massive cloud of dust and gas between stars acting as a nursery for new stars. What we need today for a city is not a monolithic monument, but something we can engage, something soft, ever-changing, and adaptable. As a great historical icon, the old San Jose Light Tower rendered the visionary courage of the pioneers of the city. Although the city is depicted as a techno-vision hub today, we would like to remind people that our city is built and evolved from generation to generation. Here, the traditional characteristic of a light tower as a figure is inverted into a spatial void. How we behold it becomes more nebulous. It's like your memories. They may look ambiguous, they may fade away, but they will unfold at a certain moment. Our hope for the Nebula Tower is to bring time and light together and to create a hybrid prototype of diversity. It's an inverted tower and an arched gate. It's an arena for civic space and an observatory for the city. It's a structured vessel for lighting and a canvas for all artists. Our collective memory and our imagination are the bridges of our innovative spirit and our city. And those are what enable us to transcend the time and explore things beyond the boundaries.
Without question, every time I watch those videos of each one of the finalists, there's different parts of it that just make my heart pump and gives me chills. And so I just think those teams, they're all exceptional teams. And we're just really proud to have these be our 3 finalists. Before we go into the question and answer, I want to just remind you about the next meetings. There are 7 of them, at least 7 that are scheduled. We have 3 more that are Tuesday, March the 2nd is the next one from 5 to 6 p.m. Then Monday, March 22nd from 6 to 7. That is, and then Tuesday, March 30th from 5:30 to 6:30. The 22nd and the 30th ones are ones that are after the jury meets and makes their rankings selections. Some other points to go over here is you know, you see these 5-minute videos of each one, but the finalists did a 2-hour presentation, each one of them, and they're all on our website. An hour of that is their very detailed presentation with different parts of their teams. And I really encourage you to go to the website and look at those whole presentations. It really gives you a much more in-depth, the details that they've gone to. And then there's an hour of question and answer session with the teams and the jury. So it will answer maybe a lot of questions that don't come up tonight. Definitely it will. And then also on the website is the phase 2 submittals, and then the videos that are all available for your viewing. Another thing that Steve and I want to make sure that you know is that each one of these community meetings we are having translated into Vietnamese as well as Spanish. But any other requests or accommodations that you need, or someone that you know that needs, we want to make sure that we, you know, get those for you, whether it be whatever that be. Just please feel free. Steve is available. His email is right there. Telephone number is at the bottom there. And please let us know so we can accommodate anyone that needs different accommodations. All of the meetings, like I said, for these are being recorded. They'll all be on our website, as well as all of the Q&A that comes off of these meetings. That will also be there for review. If you don't catch it tonight, or you want to review some of the answers, they will be there. The ongoing community outreach is extremely important to us. It has been from the beginning. Like I said, that's the way we're going to have success. So we want you to, not only you listen and give us your Q&A, your questions tonight, but if you think of other things afterwards, please just email them. There's a place on the website for you to do that, because I know a lot of people, you know, one other person's question will stimulate something, and we limit this to an hour, so we want to get right into that in just a second. But please pass this along to your friends, your neighbors, other business associates and stuff like that. So if they haven't caught one of the community meetings, there's 3 more to go. So Steve, shall we get right into the Q&A? I see that there's 3 of them up there.
Sure. Do you want me to go first, Christine, or would you like to?
Yeah, let's see. Go right ahead.
No problem. First question is, what is the rough total budget for each of these? So during the first phase, excuse me, during the second phase, the teams did some budgeting. It's preliminary. Excuse me, all of them are more than $100 million. Those numbers are going to be refined once we move into phase 3, which will be with the winning design. But suffice it to say, we are going to have a large lift as far as the fundraising is concerned, and we are fully prepared to do that. We're already talking to some very large foundations and other possible funders. The projects like this have a standard way of being funded. We would need some very large foundational gifts, sort of at the base of the pyramid, and then lots of other gifts on top of that. Next question, does the breeze of innovation move not only under wind, but from the movement of people walking on it? I don't know exactly the answer to that. I'm guessing that it might move ever so slightly based on the weight of people on it, as opposed to the wind, because the wind is moving the rods rather than the structure. But it's a good question that we will certainly follow up on. Christine, you want to take the next one?
Yes. Are the ground level sculptures, the stacked cubes in Nebula project, a part of the building or meant to be filled by other artists later? They are part of the building, but in this project, they have many places, because we want to encourage other art displays and stuff like that within. And so there's several different places to put that.
That's a good segue into the question of activation. I was actually just working on this today. Our team, Christine, John, and me, and all of our many advisors have always felt strongly that we are not interested in taking the approach of what one might call plop art, or just taking our iconic thing, dropping it into the park, and then calling it a day and disappearing. We believe that a master planned park with lots and lots of amenities, whether they be food and beverage, sports courts, benches, light poles, barbecue pits, amphitheaters, whatever it might be, are critical to the success of the park. So like Christine was saying about art objects, there could be art objects all throughout the park, Arena Green East and West. Already Confluence Point has a number of works of art, but more of them would be better. So that was not something that the teams were asked to do in phase 2, but they're in essence creating a context where we could have sculpture gardens, galleries, and other types of structures. Can the carousel remain alongside whatever design is selected so young children and families can have that as an additional entertainment? Yes, that is in the realm of the possible. There have been discussions about relocating the carousel in particular to the area near the Rotary Play Garden. I don't know where that project is right this moment. We will be in that decision-making process very quickly as soon as we move into phase 3, which we expect to happen right after City Council consideration that we hope will happen on May 4th. So the status of the carousel is unclear. I used to take my kids to the carousel. It's actually a wonderful carousel if it were clean and operational. So we don't know the future of it, but it could stay or it could go. Christine, you want to take the next one?
Mm-hmm. Is the bridge in Breeze and Nebula integral to those plans, or is that a city planning projection? Each one of the projects, in particular Breeze and Nebula, have called out a bridge. And it was always from our plan is that, the west side of Arena Green and the east side of Arena Green, there's only a small little current bridge as far as connectivity. And that's a real important part that we feel in the whole project here for the park. So in whichever design wins, there will be more development in phase 3 on exactly what type of a bridge. So that is not, what you see there is not necessarily the end result of how that will connect. And yes, it will be part of the, city planning.
We've always believed bridges are really important. Bridges are symbolic as well as functional. Interestingly, when the park was built, there is a bridge from Arena Green West to Confluence Point, but there's not a bridge from Confluence Point to Arena Green East. And these dramatic bridges that some of the designs have that go from the west to the east on the north side, I think have immense potential, and we'll dive right into that in phase 3. Another question, how do these pieces capture hope, healing, and the human condition? That's a really difficult question. I would say that when you look at spiritual aspects and philosophical aspects of projects, it's very hard to quantify. What do they make you think and feel when you look at them? So I can't really answer the question except to say that I get very soaring emotional and inspirational feelings from all 3 of the finalists.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, just the way I described how I feel when I look at the videos. But if you look at other icons around the world, and the reason that people go to see them is because, so many of them, or all of them, are awe-inspiring for many different ways to their originality. And particularly the state of the world today, it's not any one particular place that we're all feeling, is that in all of the icons around the world, they kind of come into a time and were built during a time when there was a need for healing. And, being that it is, we feel like this is coming at a time that Silicon Valley, San Jose, the nation, the world is needing healing, and the human condition there and the connectivity is it's a place, as Steve said earlier, spectacular parks are part of what is the core of a city and the pride of a city. And it's a place where people come together and feel good. And we just really are not hopeful, we are confident that whichever one of these designs wins, that not only the locals here, but the world will feel that connection.
Thank you,
this is not really about technology. It's innovation as well, and how we connect with innovation.
Another question is about that we've received from one of the other community meetings had to do with the height of the various structures. They're all approximately 200 feet tall. So to give you a sense, SAP Center is approximately 110 feet tall. I think it might be 117, and that would be from the ground, not from sea level. And so the structure that we build will be, roughly speaking, twice as tall as SAP Center. Keep in mind that building heights around the park, as well as in the park, are limited by the one engine inoperable policy of the city. So the things surrounding the site will be very similar in height to what we build on the site. Also, there were a number of questions about safety, and some of the renderings looked like they had minimal rails or no rails at all. Be assured that we will have proper rails. In fact, our intention is probably to go far beyond what code demands and make absolutely sure that our project is safe. Really, safety is paramount to everything that we're going to do. Also, we've always been inspired by the ability to go to the top. So all three of the finalists have the ability, or offer the ability, to go with elevators or stairs either at or near the top. We have very strong feelings about going up tall, up high, and being able to enjoy the views. And so in phase 3, we'll be able to refine that and hopefully add more options for more people to be able to do that.
The next question is someone that, Virginia, that logged in late. What country are each of the designers from? Their designs seem so global. From inception, you know, instead of hiring or just keeping the competition here locally, we intentionally went global because we didn't want to, we wanted to be totally inclusive again. And it was a total anonymous. No one, the jury did not have any idea where any of the designers were from when they came together in September to select the 3 finalists. And as it turns out, they're from China, Japan, and Spain. And so it totally is a global representation of designs.
And it's been a real pleasure to work with these international teams during phase 2 that Christine and I and John have gotten to do that. Next question, what are the accessory structures for these projects, including restaurants, convention and workshop spaces, restrooms, etc.? All of these activation elements will be further developed in phase 3. We did not demand complete park design in the first phase or even in the second phase. So we've always felt strongly that food and beverage are critical. There could be a history center, there could be a nature center, there could be some kind of a convention-like facility. Certainly restrooms, benches, light poles, observation platforms, all kinds of things that make for a really first-rate park. My personal goal has always been to be able to get an ice cream in the park, and so I'll stick to that till my dying day. But I'm hoping that we have really wonderful food and beverage options as one goes to the bottom of the projects, the middle possibly, or the top, and remote buildings throughout the site.
Yeah, just adding to that, you know, some of the individuals in the CCP and our advisors and stuff like that is, you know, we want this to be an experience. It's not just about a structure, and it's not just about the piece of art. That what we're bringing here and creating is an experience for the locals to come, not once, you know, like we were talking about the art and the different things that can be changing within it, or the light features, but that you come many times. And it's also important in this project that it develops, you know, economic growth, and it brings people from over the ocean to come to see it. That would be, and you know, that it also adds to the hotels and the restaurants, you know, around, but also just to people visiting San Jose, visiting Silicon Valley, and seeing it from a different perspective.
To add to that, we've always seen economic development in addition to the artistic beauty of the site and the function of the site as all being very important. we think we can be an important ingredient in this new area of downtown, becoming a magnet for literally millions of people over time who want to come and visit and have picnics and possibly watch films that are projected on the side of the structure, or any number of other activities that could happen. But we believe that property values will rise, that that it'll float all boats, and that if you study other iconic landmarks, like the High Line being one of the latest examples, it's really been a fabulous amenity for the people of New York. And actually, it's become the #1 tourist attraction for New York just in a matter of a few years. And New York's a city with some amazing tourist attractions that attract literally millions of people a year.
And adding to that also, it was important for us to be in harmony with nature. And bringing, you know, this sort of a project in the middle of the largest urban park, you know, many of the local businesses and then some of our large businesses in downtown have shared with us how important it is for their employees, you know, that they're, even though a lot of them, you know, they're working from home now, but that won't be forever, but it gives them a place to congregate, to get out in the open spaces and enjoy the nature. So part of the beauty of this gym in the middle of San Jose, in the middle of downtown San Jose, is that it brings all of that together in harmony with nature. And, you know, the birds, the fish, the whole part of this very special place at the Confluence was really a gem, as I said, for us to be able to create and improve.
Next question: is there a reason that Wonderland focuses on non-native flora? If it moves ahead, some live oak, California poppy, and redwood are necessary to have the local connections. That's actually a very good point, and I couldn't tell you. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I don't know which of the flora are native and if any of them are not native, but I will follow up with this question and post the answer on the website and find out directly from the designer. We've gotten questions about construction methods and how we're going to select the people who work on this project. I want to assure everyone we are working diligently now on construction method. There are a number of different ways to build very large projects. We're lucky to have John Ball as our board chair. John spent his career building very large projects in the north of 100 million, probably even approaching $1 billion. So he knows how to build large things. I would certainly not have known how to do that myself, but we will be identifying possible contractors, construction methods, and also other consultants who could be part of this process. If you haven't been involved, I'll just point out that it's very complex to build something big like this, and we've got numerous people with various technical skills that we've already worked on, and we'll be working with even more of them as we move forward once we've selected the winner. Christine, do you want to take another one?
Sure. With all of the visitors you're expecting, how will the neighborhood be impacted by this increased traffic? Well, that's, you know, traffic is always a concern, but we are working, every month we have a meeting with the local stakeholders here and the neighborhood associations. And so we're all working on the new opportunities with Deer Dawn Station and parking. So it's all in the works with the city as well.
You know, that's a good segue into the multimodal Deer Dawn Station that we really didn't talk about tonight, that it already has Caltrain, Amtrak, buses, light rail, and in the future, if high-speed rail were built, there would be a station there. And also, as I mentioned, BART earlier as another option. So that's not to say all of us are going to stop driving our cars. We're not going to do that, but there's lots of parking in and around Arena Green. There are thousands and thousands of spaces downtown. People in most cities are happy to walk a quarter mile or a half of a mile. Also, the arena is going to remain. The parking for Deer Dawn Station will remain, and also for other not office parks, but major office structures nearby, which offer parking at night. We're hoping that we actually activate the park at night in a really dramatic way. I mentioned movies earlier. Those are not specifically in our plans yet, but I think it would be spectacular to have what might be the largest movie screen in the world, with thousands or even 10,000 people sitting in the park on a warm night watching a movie and eating popcorn and drinking coffee or whatever. So I just can't emphasize enough, how important the activation of the park will be. And, we want to be part of this solution of access, but, we're in a transitional time now as a society toward greater mass transit, particularly in big cities. And this is new to San Jose. We've been a suburban city forever. We are not like the Chicagos and New Yorks, but we're going to become much more like them. Also, there are many thousands, maybe even multiples of 10,000 residents who are going to live in new units that are going to be built as part of the Google project, and also other mid-rise and high-rise housing downtown who will be within walking distance of our site. I'm not sure that completely answers the question, but it's at least a partial answer. And how the neighborhood will be impacted, impossible to say. What I'll say is that when the arena came in, I know a lot of people near the arena were really concerned about great traffic impacts, and they really never materialized. I think with the parking plan and having most people park either on site or in downtown garages, it was mitigated. These objects will be lit in the evening. How will it affect the residents? Well, it depends on where you live, where one lives. I think if you lived in Axis or some of the other high-rise housing that's directly to the east, I think it'll be a real light show. That'll be a real positive. I think people will pay extra for it. As far as single-family dwellings, there are very few, if any, that I think will have a view of this landmark. But part of urban living is wanting to experience exciting landmarks and artworks. So I think for the vast majority of people, this will be a real positive. The person followed up on the question. My question was not car traffic, but visitors walking or cycling creating traffic. I guess what I would say to that is that being in a dense urban center, you have people walking and biking and driving cars. And it's not to say that it won't be managed and controlled by the city like they always do. But I think more people in our downtown core is inevitable. And it's really what we're all working on. Christine, it's 7 o'clock. So I think it's time, it's the witching hour and time for you to wrap things up, if you would.
Sure. Well, thank you again, everyone. I'd like to just close with 3 points that I think don't get said enough, that there's a real purpose for us doing this. And it's a transformational project for the city and downtown. The core of our city should be the pride of our city. And again, inclusivity. We are developing a place that everyone is welcome, where there'll be something for everyone and an accommodation for everyone. And connectivity. Now that doesn't mean just connectivity with crossing the river. That means really a place that you can connect. And we talked about that in the humanities that it brings. And that is not, many people have asked about the technology part of it. Of course, we are the center of technology. This is the epicenter of it, but it's really more about the purpose and about innovation and how we can express that within art in our city. So I want to one more time say thank you to the donors, because this is a private project, and without donors and support and volunteers, things like this just don't happen without that financial help. Again, we seek your input. We can't be successful. We know we are going to be successful, but we need to hear from the public. This is about all of us. It's not about Urban Confluence, Silicon Valley. This is about all of us. And so we really encourage everyone to go to the website, review the details of the 3 finalists. Again, they are so detailed. You'll also learn a lot about the teams that are behind each one of them and the skills that they bring to it. With your support, this is a game changer for San Jose and Silicon Valley. So my favorite thing to say at the end of these community meetings is, at the confluence of 2 rivers lies the world's next iconic landmark. We are all anxious to see what that will be and what kind of impact and the purpose that it will bring to serving the humanities of San Jose and Silicon Valley. So thanks for joining us tonight. Go to our website, and thank you, Steve. It's always a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
An icon awaits.